What are the most important things in your life? This is Father Jonathan Meyer. We are in day 20 of 33 days to Eucharistic glory. I remember going on a retreat. I was a very, very young seminarian, and it was a silent retreat. It was the first time I was ever on a silent retreat. And the priest gave us a whole bunch of pieces of paper, and they had words on them. And he told us we needed to put them in order of what was most important in our life. They had words like God, prayer, study, money, family, friendships, sports, games. I remember going back to my room and putting them on my bed and just kind of shuffling through them and trying to really ask the question of what's most important in my life? What really is a priority? And of course, as a seminarian, I was like, well, of course, God is my priority. And I love God, so I put God at the very top. Then I actually had to really ask that, like that was really the case. I tremendously wanted to be loved, accepted, and affirmed by my friends. I was obsessed with trying to get good grades. And it made me really ask the question, like, what really is the priority in my life? What guides and directs everything? I remember on that retreat, wrestling with that, struggling with that. And then from that, redirecting my priorities. I used to lie to myself and say like, hey, it's okay if I don't get all my prayers done today. If I'm studying, because studying is really important right now because I want to be a smart priest. I would rearrange my priorities so that I could get what I wanted, but somehow still justified in my mind. And sometimes even as a priest, that'll still come up. Like, you have a really, really busy day today, so it's okay if you don't spend all the time that you normally do in the presence of Blessed Sacrament. And that is true. Like, there are times when you can't control all of those things, right? But I think it is a great question of just what is my priority? Are my priorities ordered as they should be? I remember listening to a young adult give a presentation one time, and she simply said, hey, when it comes to priorities, I think just attach to that the phrase, I don't have time for that. Do you have time to call your mom tonight? Is my family a priority? I'm not going to call my mom tonight. I don't have time for my mom. Is working out every day a priority? I don't really have time for that. It's not really a priority. Are you going to pray today? I don't really have time for that. Well, what do you have time for? Our priorities are what we make time for. Our priorities are what we say are non-negotiables. Prayer, God, when it comes down to it, they're non-negotiables. They are our priorities. And in the glory of heaven, in the beatific vision, when we're with God forever, that's all that's going to matter. How has the past 20 days shifted your priorities? Have you seen your priorities changing? Are you making more time? Are you finding more time for God, for silence, for prayer, for adoration, for Mass? That's the goal of Eucharistic consecration, is that Jesus becomes the priority in our life. The more and more and more that we give ourselves to him, the more and more that all of our other things in our lives, our money, our hobbies, our families, and our relationships will become rich because God will bless them. The reality is that our work can't bless us, our hobbies can't bless us, but God can bless us, and he can bless those other aspects of our life, right? So let's put those where they need to be, which is under Jesus, which is under prayer, which is under silence, which is under he who is the Almighty Lord. Let's get our priorities right, and do so, get our life right. Amen.
I don't know if you've noticed, but the world is a mess. America is divided. The church is in crisis. 50 million Catholics have stopped practicing their faith in the past 30 years. It's time to stop seeking worldly solutions to spiritual problems. There is something we can do right now. There is something you can do right now that can make a huge difference. Sign the petition to consecrate America to Jesus in the Eucharist. Click the button below and sign this historic document today. And remember, be bold, be Catholic.